This video is kindly brought to you by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform to create a beautiful online presence.
Hi, my name's Janelle and welcome back to Rosery Apparel. I have woken up to the most beautiful, foggy, wintry morning and it is honestly the perfect day for a bit of a cozy sewing day. In this video, I am so excited to be sewing another Silver Saga pattern. I have made 2 Silver Saga patterns in the past and each and every time they have just been such a joy to make. The dress I'm making today is the sleeveless Eleonora dress. I have had this pattern on my to make list for literally ever since it came out. But today I'm changing that. I've finally printed it out. I'm going to sew it up today and I could not be more excited about it. I have found the most beautiful fabric to make this dress out of. It is actually a bedsheet I picked up from Target. It's this floral navy flat bedsheet. I just think this adorable print in this really beautiful kind of like Doan-esque style of dress is just going to be the most dreamy thing. I've actually decided this winter to make a few sleeveless dresses because I still wear a lot of dresses during winter, but a lot of my dresses have sleeves and sleeved dresses are just not the greatest thing for layering. So I'm really happy to be adding another sleeveless option into my wardrobe so I can layer it up with turtlenecks underneath. And I just think this fabric is going to be perfect because it's a brand new bedsheet. It has this really gorgeous crisp quality to it and I just think it's going to be so fun to work with and will hopefully give this dress just a little bit of slight structure, which I think will help make all of the gathered details really stand out, especially on such a dark fabric. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. I have already cut out the template pieces yesterday, so that's all done. So now I just need to cut them out in my fabric. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, so I've just had a little look at the Silver Saga Instagram page just to see a few different versions of this dress and to see how long the skirt actually finishes. I just held it up to myself and it's like almost the perfect length. I think I'm going to add a little bit to the length just so I can really hem it as much as I want to, because at the moment they say there's 6 centimeters worth of extra for the hemming, so I might add another 10 centimeters just so I've got a bit extra for the length in case I want a little bit longer than the original pattern skirt length. And I also am wondering, and I can't really seem to find an answer, but this is the rectangle piece for the skirt and apparently we need to cut out 4 of these panels, which seems like a lot, but in saying that I really do love a full gathered skirt, so I think I am going to do the full width of this template piece. But I just can't figure out why we have to cut 4 separate pieces. I've had a look at the instructions and they're going to be joined together to create a seam. So I think I can instead just cut 2 out on the fold of the fabric instead. That's what I'm going to do and hopefully it works out fine. I'm sure if there's a reason they need to be joined, I can just cut them in half later, but I think they can be cut out on the fold. And this dress pattern actually comes with 3 different styles and I'm going to make this middle one here. There is a version that just has 1 elastic channel at the waist, then there's the one I'm going to do which has 2 elastic channels, and then there's also a shirred option as well, but I think the shirring will be kind of pointless to do on such a dark fabric like this. I don't think you're going to see the texture too much and I think just the elastic channel will be enough gathering. So yeah, I'm going to do view B and I'm going to cut the skirt out on the fold. As I get started with cutting this dress out, let's just take a quick break to talk about the sponsor of this video. This video has been very kindly sponsored by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform to create a beautiful online presence and launch your passion project. Whether you'd like to start making and selling your own products, create a beautiful portfolio to showcase your work, write a blog, or simply create any website of any kind, you can design, build and run your dream website all by yourself with Squarespace. It is coming up on 10 years since I first sat down to create my Squarespace website back in 2016, and 10 years is a very good amount of time to test a product, and I can tell you not once in those 10 years have I ever thought about leaving Squarespace and going with another website provider. Squarespace is honestly the dream product. I'm not tech savvy at all, but even I have had no tech issues while running my website. You simply select from their range of beautifully designed templates, and then once you've chosen a template, you can then change it up as much or as little as you like to create the website of your dreams. You can change everything from the overall layout of the website to all of the fun things like the fonts and colors with just a few clicks, no knowledge or background needed in coding whatsoever. And if that wasn't easy enough, Squarespace also have award-winning customer service, and in the 10 years I've been using the platform, I've gotten in touch with them maybe 2 times max, and each time I have gotten in touch, they have worked with me to ensure that my questions were answered and my issue or problem was 100% resolved. I cannot recommend them enough. And as a small business owner, I don't really have time to have to deal with tech issues. That is the last thing on my mind. So having that customer support honestly gives me so much peace of mind, and is just another reason why I love Squarespace so much. So if you'd like to create a website of your own, then I totally recommend you go and check out Squarespace using the link in the description below this video, and take advantage of their free trial so you can test out just how easy it is to use for yourself. And then when you're ready to launch your beautiful new website, head to squarespace.com/Rosery Apparel for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you so much, Squarespace, for sponsoring this video and for being such an incredible supporter of my channel. All of the pattern pieces are cut out, and it's time to start sewing this dress together. And I need to start by stitching 2 buttonhole openings along the neckline where the tie is going to be thread through. And I need to actually put some lightweight interfacing on the wrong side of the fabric as well. It says to cut 2 small pieces of fusible interfacing, iron the interfacing on the wrong side of the fabric under the buttonhole markings. This is to stabilize the buttonholes and make sure your fabric will last longer. Okay, yeah, it makes sense. So it's basically, we're going to put 2 little rectangles of interfacing where the buttonholes are going to be stitched. So the interfacing will just keep them stronger over time, I suppose. I think I'm going to skip that though, honestly, because it says if this is important if you're using lightweight fabric, and my fabric is definitely not lightweight. It's a light cotton, but it's quite a structured cotton, so I'm gonna skip that and just stitch the buttonholes. I need to mark them out, and the instructions have the measurements of where they're meant to be, so that is what I'm gonna start with. The fabric is so cute. Cutting it out was such a joy. I just think it is such an adorable print and is going to look so good with this style of dress. I'm so excited to see how it all looks once it's done. This is a really technical pattern. It's very word heavy, which is great. It gives a lot of detail, but I'm really confused. I think I have to make some bias binding, which is fine, but I bought bias binding because and I thought I bought the right stuff, but I think the bias binding is going to be exposed. The neckline requires a bias tape. Make your own using the pattern piece number 7. Bias tape needed for the neckline. I skipped this because I just bought pre-made bias binding in a navy colour, because that's what's needed for the inside of the dress for view B to put the elastic in. But for the neckline you need an exposed bias tape. So I need to cut out some more of my fabric and make my own bias binding for the neckline, I think. Yeah, let's just make some bias binding and we'll go from there. Hopefully I can work it out. Also, I need to decide on whether or not I want the elastic channel. No, I definitely want elastic. I think I'm just going to have I was going to say, I can put a tie in the elastic waist channel as well, but I think I definitely only want one tie along the neckline and then just keep the waist channel elasticated. I think that's going to look better. But yeah, let's make some bias binding. Okay, now that I have the bias binding, the instructions make way more sense. So I need to fold this bias binding strip that I just made in half, and then the halfway line is going to be the center front of the bodice. I need to unfold it and mark out the buttonhole openings. And they're going to be about here, and I'll actually scratch that. It's going to be about here, and that'll do. That will actually do. I think it's 2.5. Yep, that'll do. Time to stitch the bodice front to the bodice back at the side seams. And something else I did do before I started sewing was stayed stitched the armholes. That was just a tip in the pattern instructions. And one concern about making this pattern is the armholes can be a little bit big depending on your size. So I don't want them stretching any more than what's necessary, basically. So I didn't skip that step. And now I'm gonna just stitch the back to the front, and then we start the shoulder straps. So I'm up to working on the straps, and it turns out the strap front and strap back template pieces were meant to be stuck together before cutting out, which I didn't realise. I did have a read of the instructions before starting, but I didn't really read the cutting out instructions that closely. I've just sewed the two strap pieces together instead. So I have lost a little bit of seam allowance doing that, but I don't think it's going to matter too much. And now at least I have this really clear seam where the front and the back of the bodice are meant to match up with the straps. So I honestly think this is going to be a happy mistake. But yeah, just keep that in mind if you're making this pattern. These are technically meant to be together before you even cut them out. But yeah, fingers crossed it doesn't matter too much. So now I need to actually fold the strap pieces in half and then gather them up before attaching them to the armhole. I'm actually pretty intrigued by this step. I'm not entirely sure how it's going to work. About that much we'll gather up before attaching it to the bodice. So yeah, I'll check in with you once that's done. I think my favourite thing about sewing a Silver Saga sewing pattern is that they really are very technical. The instructions are very detailed and there are a lot of technical and fiddly steps, but personally I really love the challenge of that. It's kind of why I love sewing with sewing patterns to begin with, and I think it was the Ella dress by Silver Saga patterns that made me fall back in love with sewing with a pattern again. I used to not love following pattern instructions and would prefer to just try and make it up as I go, but there was something about the Ella pattern that just really satisfied my brain. And yeah, this Eleonora pattern is exactly the same. It's quite technical, but an overall very satisfying make. I'll have a link to the video where I made the Ella dress down in the description below, as I think it was one of the very first cozy sewing vlogs I ever made, or one of the first, and it's a video and project I'm very proud of. So the armhole ruffles are attached and look how cute they look. Here's the other side as well. Super happy with that. And so now I have to leave the rest of the straps, I believe, and we'll come to those later. Press the straps together again. Okay, no, first things first. I'm actually going to sew these two ends together, and then we're moving on to the neckband channel, I think, which is what we stitched the buttonholes on earlier. Okay, here is what the bodice is looking like. I've just sewn the neckline channel in place. So the elastic is going to be thread into this 1 centimeter channel. It's really hard to see on this navy fabric, but hopefully you get what I mean. And I just looked at the time, and time has just completely run away from me today. It is already 1:15 and I started sewing at 9 a.m. and I just don't know how it's already past 1 o'clock. It feels like I've only been sewing for like an hour and a half max. So yeah, that is actually crazy, but this is all I've got to show for nearly 4 hours of sewing, which is bonkers. But I'm gonna take a break now, have a bit of lunch, and then after lunch I need to actually sew the bias binding to the inside of the dress to create the waistband channel, which I'm just going to thread with the elastic. You can make it so you can have a tie at the waist as well as at the neckline, but I've decided I'm just going to stick to elastic in the waistband, keep it simple, and also I think 2 ties might just be a little bit too much. Yeah, so far I think this is coming together pretty nicely, and the fabric is so adorable. On the camera screen it looks very blue, like royal blue almost, but it's not in real life. In real life it's very much a muted navy color. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I'd much prefer the color of it in real life compared to the screen. The screen color is just a little bit too, yeah, royal blue, but apart from that it is adorable and I love it. Need to measure out the elastic now. The pattern says to measure it out so that it's 72 centimeters long. So let me cut that and then test it and see if that's right. This is going underneath my bust. Feels pretty good. Maybe slightly loose, so I might just cut a little bit extra off just in case. That should do it. So I've just realised something really cool about this pattern. I had just finished threading the elastic into the waistband, so I'm just getting started on the neckline tie. And I've just realised that the neckline tie is actually a mixture of both functional, like tie, as well as half of it being elastic, which I think is just genius. It says here that the Eleonora dress was designed with a functional neckline that has both a tie and elastic. I made the neckline this way because I like the comfort of elastic, but I also like the tie detail. And I totally get what she means. Like, elastic is so much more comfortable than a tie, but by doing this, the dress is going to have the best of both worlds. I'm going to have a functioning necktie and elastication. So yeah, now I need to cut a piece of elastic that is 62 centimeters. Then I attach that elastic to this fabric tie, and then we can thread it into the neckline channel. Okay, that quite possibly was the fiddliest sewing project I have ever attempted. It wasn't to the point where I was tempted to give up, but it took so long to get that necktie into this channel. Now that it's in, it is so worth it. It looks incredibly adorable, and the fact that this neckline is elasticated and has a functioning tie is just complete genius. It's so hard to show you all the details with this dark fabric, but it is honestly stunning. Here's a look at the back. It's all elasticated, so I can tell it's going to be very comfortable. I'm well and truly at the end of my tether after completing this bodice. It has taken me all day just to get to this point. It is now past 3 o'clock, so I'm going to leave it there for today. I'll pick it up again hopefully tomorrow, if not in a few days' time. This has definitely been the most technical sewing project I've ever worked on, but so far it is looking like it's going to be worth it. Okay, so I just tried it on. I was so exhausted after a full day of sewing yesterday. I couldn't even be bothered trying it on, which to me now seems crazy. I woke up this morning and all I could think about was whether or not this bodice was going to fit. So it's now bright and early. I've tried it on and I'm so happy to confirm it fits perfectly. The instructions go into like quite great detail about if it's gaping at the armholes or if it's gaping at the bust, how to go about fixing those fit issues. So I was pretty mentally prepared to have some issues of some kind. So the fact that it fits so well is such a relief. It is freezing today though, like it is way colder than yesterday. So I'm going to take it off so I can get started on the skirt. But how cute is this bodice? I just can't believe how well it fits. One of the things I find though about taking a bit of a break from a sewing project is that I do tend to problem solve better and think of ways to sew things that I probably wouldn't have done if I had have just kept following the instructions in the one sewing session. What I've been thinking overnight is about the skirt. So like I kind of mentioned, I think the skirt is supposed to be made up of 4 panels. But I've just cut out the panel on the fold instead of stitching the panels together, which means that we've just got a very wide rectangle of fabric here. And the pattern instructions even kind of encourage you to play around with the skirt and like use only 2 panels if you want a less gathered look, or even potentially cut the rectangle so there's less fabric along the top, which I've decided is what I'm going to try and do. So if I just like trim, I don't know, like 20 centimeters off both ends and then do it in a diagonal way so it still flares out at the bottom of the rectangle, that could potentially reduce a bit of that gathering bulk that will happen. So yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. Please excuse the Ugg boots, but I've just tried it on. I don't want to give you a proper look at it yet because I want to wait and give you the final look once it's done, but I just wanted to show you the length of it. I don't know if I needed to add 10 centimeters, honestly. I think it would have been the perfect length if I hadn't added 10 centimeters, but at the same time, because this dress has no sleeves or anything, I do love the maxi look. So I'm going to give it a probably good inch or inch and a half hem, and then I'll show you what this dress looks like finished. It is, oh my goodness, so unbelievably stunning. the dress is finally complete. Let me put some shots of me wearing it in now so you can get a good proper look at this beautiful finished dress. I am just so completely over the moon with this dress. It has turned out so incredibly beautiful. This fabric was definitely the correct choice. It just has the perfect amount of structured crispiness that I just think helps make all of the beautiful features of this dress really shine. And the design itself, I can't get over how beautiful it is. This dress genuinely feels like I've spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars at Doan and have purchased a dress. It's so well designed and I'm really proud of how I've put this dress together as well. It was so worth all of the effort. As I've mentioned throughout this video, this dress was by far one of the most technical dresses I've ever attempted to make before, and I think that is what I always take away from sewing with one of these Silver Saga patterns. Is I always feel like I've learnt something new and always feel like I've grown as a sewer after completing one of the patterns. So yeah, it is a bit of a challenge, but it's well and truly worth it. You feel so incredibly proud of yourself at the end and you come away with the most beautiful dresses as well. But if you did want to have a go at a Silver Saga pattern and you want to start with something a little bit easier, I recommend the Clara pattern. I made that one a few years ago now and it was a lot simpler. But yeah, even though there were times where I felt like I was never going to be able to finish this dress, and there were definitely some times where I was getting a little bit frustrated because it is a very fiddly and technical make, I think it was all 100% worth it. I will be for sure making more of this pattern in the future. But yeah, thank you so much for following along as I make the sleeveless Eleonora dress. I don't think I actually mentioned it, but the Eleonora dress also has a sleeved version as well, so definitely go check that out if you're interested. Hello. Great timing. Thank you.
You're cute. Do
you like this dress?
I love it.
Look
It's
at
so
it.
cool.
I know.
I love the top. I love
the straps.
the straps.
Oh,
So you like a cuppa.
thank you.
Love you.
Love ya.
Bye.
Bye. So yeah, as I was saying, thank you so much for following along as I sew the sleeveless Eleonora dress. It is so lovely to add another Silver Saga design into my wardrobe. And if you enjoyed this video, it would really mean a lot to me if you could give it a like and subscribe to my channel for more cozy sewing videos just like this one. Thanks so much for watching this video until the very end, and I'll see you in the next one.